Have you ever stood in a place and felt the weight of history all around you? That feeling that something monumental happened right where you're standing. A single moment that changed the course of everything that followed today. We're going on a journey to places where history wasn't just written, it was decided. These aren't just old buildings or empty fields. They are the very stages where the fate of empires, the dawn of new ideas, and the destinies of millions were forged. Let's start our journey on a small, muddy field in what is now northern France. The year is 1415. The place is Agincourt. An exhausted, outnumbered English army, led by King Henry V, faces a massive, confident French force. The odds were impossible. The English were sick, starving, and trapped. By all logic, they should have been annihilated. But history rarely follows logic. What happened next was not just a battle, it was a legend in the making. The English longbowmen, masters of their craft, unleashed a storm of arrows that darkened the sky. The heavily armored French knights, bogged down in the thick mud, became easy targets. Against all expectations, the English achieved a stunning, decisive victory. Agincourt didn't just win a battle, it cemented the longbow's fearsome reputation, shattered the myth of chivalric invincibility, and became a cornerstone of English national identity. Immortalized forever by Shakespeare, a single day, a muddy field, and a legacy that echoes through centuries. Now, let's fast forward a few hundred years and cross the Atlantic to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The year is 1776. Inside a modest brick building, now known as Independence Hall, a group of men are debating a radical, dangerous idea. They are subjects of the most powerful empire on earth. Yet they are proposing to declare themselves a new, independent nation. The air is thick with tension. Signing the document before them is an act of treason, punishable by death. Every man in that room, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, knew the risk. Yet, they put their quill to parchment. The Declaration of Independence wasn't just a political document. It was a philosophical bombshell. It declared that all men are created equal, with rights that no king could take away. The decision made in that room didn't just start the American Revolution, it lit a fire of liberty that would inspire countless movements for freedom and self-determination across the entire globe. A single room, a collection of signatures, and a world forever changed by the audacity of an idea. Our next stop takes us to a place that, for a long time, was a symbol of division, Berlin. From 1961 to 1989, the Berlin Wall was more than just a concrete barrier, it was the physical manifestation of the Iron Curtain. The dividing line between two opposing worlds, the democratic West and the communist East. Families were torn apart overnight. It was a scar on the city and a constant, grim reminder of the Cold War. But then, on the evening of November 9, 1989, something incredible happened. Following a confusing press conference by an East German official, massive crowds of East Berliners gathered at the checkpoints, demanding to cross. The border guards, overwhelmed and without clear orders, eventually opened the gates. The scenes that followed were pure ecstasy. People poured through, greeted by cheering West Berliners. They danced, they hugged, they wept. Many took hammers and chisels to the wall itself, physically tearing down the symbol of their oppression. The fall of the Berlin Wall wasn't planned by any government. It was an impromptu, spontaneous act of people power. It marked the symbolic end of the Cold War and paved the way for German reunification. History was decided not in a palace, but on the streets, by ordinary people demanding freedom. Let's travel back in time again, to the windswept dunes of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. The date is December 17, 1903. Two brothers, Wilbur and Orville Wright, are about to attempt the impossible. For years, people had dreamed of flying, but every attempt had ended in failure or ridicule. The Wright brothers, with no formal engineering education, just relentless curiosity and tireless experimentation, believed they had solved the puzzle. On that cold, blustery morning, with a handful of witnesses, Orville Wright climbed aboard their fragile-looking aircraft, the Wright Flyer. He lay flat on the lower wing as the engine sputtered to life. The plane moved down its track and, for 12 seconds, It lifted into the air. 12 seconds. It flew only 120 feet less than the wingspan of a modern jumbo jet. It might not seem like much, but in those 12 seconds, everything changed. Humankind was no longer bound to the Earth. That short, wobbly flight was the birth of aviation. It shrunk the globe, revolutionized travel, warfare, and our very perception of the world. It all started with two brothers, a homemade machine, and 12 seconds of impossible flight on a lonely beach. Our final destination is a place of profound scientific breakthrough, Bletchley Park, a country estate in England during World War II. On the surface, it looked like any other stately home. But inside, some of the brightest minds in Britain, including the brilliant Alan Turing, were engaged in a secret war of intellect. They were tasked with breaking the unbreakable Enigma code, used by the German military to encrypt their communications. The work was painstaking, mentally grueling, and utterly top secret, using a combination of linguistic genius, mathematical theory, and early computing machines they designed themselves. The codebreakers at Bletchley Park began to decipher Germany's most secret messages. Their success gave the Allies an unprecedented advantage, providing crucial intelligence that influenced major battles, including the Battle of the Atlantic and the D-Day landings. It's estimated that the work done here shortened the war by at least 2 years, saving countless lives. The decisions made and the secrets unlocked within the quiet huts of Bletchley Park were as decisive as any battle fought on the front lines. It was also the birthplace of the modern computer, a legacy that shapes every aspect of our lives today. From a muddy field in France to a quiet room in Philadelphia, from a divided city in Germany to a sandy beach in North Carolina and a secret estate in England. These places are reminders that history is not an abstract force. It's made in specific moments, in specific places, by people who dared to act, to think, to risk everything. Their decisions have rippled through time to shape the world we live in. So the next time you feel that shiver of history, remember the stories held within those walls and fields. What other places do you think decided history? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from our incredible past. See you next time.